Are there any aspects of previous Tropico games that you feel have been refined for this new Tropico game?
Absolutely. There's quite a few new changes and additions to this game, which we're really, really proud of. Even simple things like the dynasties, the new research and trade modes, the cooperative and competitive multiplayer modes. Fans of the original games will be able to jump in there and notice the changes, but jump straight into the old Tropico humour and the way that it looks and feels. New players will actually learn quite quickly how to play the game through, and it's not something, with it being the 5th game, I think some people might say, I've not played 1, 2, 3 and 4, so I don't know if I'm going to enjoy 5. But 5 is a complete redesign, a complete reinvention of the brand, and we've added in things that the fans and even new players from Tropico 4 so we'd love to see this and we'd love to be able to do this. So we've tried to implement as many of those things as possible. So things like the trade system and the research system is so much fun because of the tongue-in-cheek humour that Tropico has as a brand. You can even research things like table manners for our Presidente, so that once you've researched these skills, you can go to different public dinners and speak there and things. And even right at the very start, you can, Tropico people, maybe not the most technically savvy people, but you can actually research the soap mode, so that actually start washing to stop disease from spreading in the colonial areas. So there's lots of really fun things to go in there, all with that tongue-in-cheek humour of Tropico from the past as well.
What are some examples of some of the new buildings you'll be able to create in Tropico 5?
There's a whole host of new buildings that you can use in Tropico 5. Obviously, we keep some of the classics, some of the classic buildings that have been there. We've got tenements and houses, and we've got the things like the military bases that you can use and police stations, etc. We've also got things like the observatory, which once you build an observatory on the island, that opens up research points for you to be able to research the different technologies as well. So each building has a specific place within the game. Obviously, as you progress through the different eras, you'll open up new buildings. You'll open up media buildings in the modern time, or in the Cold War era. You'll open up a space program in the modern times era, so you can actually progress quite a lot. Some of the buildings have a direct effect on the game as well, like I said, so they'll open up new trade opportunities, they'll open up new ways of making money for the island itself or into your Swiss bank account, depending on what kind of game you're playing. So the buildings do play a specific part, and as I mentioned, you are able to upgrade those buildings, use them for different things throughout the game, different uses throughout the game, and also, more importantly, you can demolish them, build new buildings on top, or renovate these new buildings. You've got to renovate these new buildings and make them more useful for your purpose, depending on how you're playing the game through.
How will the idea of island exploration work in Tropico 5?
So as you start off in colonial times, you'll see a fog of war, which again is something new in Tropico 5. And the fog of war prevents people from being able to see what is around the corner, where your different mining opportunities might be, whether there are natural resources to be exploited. So what you can do to start off with, you can actually send a member from your palace, whether that be a dynasty member or whether that be a member of the military, and you can send them out on a scouting expedition. So as you set them off, you can choose a point on the island in the fog of war for them to go to. That will cost money. That will cost maybe $1,000 or whatever it might be to actually do that exploration. Once they go into that, they open up that area of fog of war, and that will clear out so you can see what natural resources may or may not be there, and you can also expand that out further. Later down the line, you can actually build a military fort, for example, and have an elite force built within that military fort. You can send them out into the wilds of Tropico to try and explore further, and they'll be able to go quicker, they'll be able to go further because they're more military trained. You can also train or choose the traits of a dynasty member and send them out on an exploration as well. Now, however, that has its consequences, because it might well be that they'll go out and explore somewhere, they could get captured by other people, they could maybe find a nice waterfall and set up camp somewhere else, and then that could play part of the story as you move forward. So the exploration mode is a really fun way of players being able to explore and do something outside of the city building and the political side of the main missions as well, especially with the dynasty members, where you can choose, you could even punish somebody and send them off into the wilds of Tropico as a punishment for maybe not listening to you, for skimming money into your own bank account, or for doing some strange or maybe unpolitical move later in the game as well.